Hey everybody, Eric Speck here, Peer Support Director at RPH Ally. Welcome to today's Peer Support Show. Today I have a very special guest. Dhruva is joining us. Dhruva is a award-winning physician who is focused on patient satisfaction. He has over 24 years of experience. He's also a professional speaker. He's an expert in mindfulness and stress reduction. He's also a life coach, and he is a rapper. Yes, like Eminem, Marshall Mathers rapper. So we're going to dive into a little bit more of what he has right after this. All right, Dhruva, welcome to the RPH Ally Peer Support Show. How are you doing?
Yeah, Eric, no, thanks for having me on your show. Yeah, I'm still breathing today. And the comparison to Marshall Mathers, that's a lot of, I appreciate that. It's some big shoes to fill. And I definitely have inspired from him. And people will say that my rap is like Eminem. Nice. I mean, he's such an inspirational artist. And he's paved the way for people like us to just have a voice. So yeah, right. Because he was rapping about things that people weren't rapping about that time. In his time, in the early 2000s, he was being very vulnerable for that time.
Yeah, definitely. And especially when he got into recovery and then kind of started rapping about that was really, really powerful and kind of transformative for a lot of people out there.
Yeah, and my journey really has to do with rap, to be honest with you, because in rap, you can write, and there's so much that you can put into a song. And I write so many songs that I wouldn't even record. What's happening is that I'm just writing this diary, is what I call a recurring diary, when you get to listen to it over and over again. So.
As I mentioned earlier, you're a speaker. You've done a handful of keynote speeches, and you actually rap part of your keynotes while you're on stage. And you said that comes across very well with the audience.
Yeah, I mean, so long as you don't forget the lyrics. I also, to take Eminem once again, it's funny because he was on a stage. 50 Cent was getting his star in the Hollywood the Hollywood Walk, or is that what it's called?
Yeah, with the stars on the ground, yeah.
Yeah, and he gets up there and he's super nervous and he's like slurring his words and he's like not, he's not in focus there. And he's like, I haven't memorized this, so yeah, it's interesting. With the rap that I do in my keynotes, the learning objectives, the intro, body, and conclusion and learning objectives are in the rap songs. So it's just easier for me to even do it. And, if I'm, my speaking topic, my main one is enhanced mindful communication with empathy through mind hygiene. Yeah. And what I'll do is I'll take parts of the rap and I'll talk about how I enhance communication, how I'm able to empathize with myself, and how I expand on mind hygiene, and then I throw the learning objectives into a chorus. So
that's awesome. That's awesome. I would love to come to one of those events and hear you speak and hear that rap. That would be not only insightful and gain some knowledge from you, but it would be entertaining as well. Yeah. And that's always nice. So we've talked about mind hygiene. I doubt anybody who's watching this has ever heard of mind hygiene before. I've never heard of it. When I think of hygiene, I think of going to the dentist and the dental hygienist who cleans my teeth. So tell us a little bit more about mind hygiene. Now, and this is a term you created, you invented this term, correct?
Yeah. So by the end of this year, my trademark lawyer said it should be registered. So it's going to be a registered trademark, hopefully awesome. By the next couple months. So yeah, mind hygiene is something that I've come up with for myself. I never really knew that it would benefit anybody. Over the years, when I was younger, there was a lot of self-hatred. I had a lot of, things that had happened to me that I judged myself. The low self-esteem and low confidence that I had over the years really got buried. And as I became a doctor, it got worse. I always like to say that overconfidence is proportional to low self-esteem. The times that I was like loud, abrasive, interruptive, those are the times that my self-esteem was like the lowest. So then what happens is that I'm trying to fix my emotions by drinking, smoking, and then gambling. So a lot of those things led me to almost, crap out of life and almost file for bankruptcy. So then what happens is that I get sober 5.5 years ago. And then I'm like, what do I do with myself? And then I started saying, okay, I got to hygienically treat my mind. Well, this is what I'm going to do. And I'm going to write it down. And what I've consolidated that into is these mindful and empathic techniques that I empower myself with, which allows me to have great patient experiences and avoid, the burnout that I had. And with mind hygiene, I don't take any risks. I write it all down. So there's no risk taking. I don't talk to people about it. Although, I have been to 5 years of cognitive behavioral therapy, dialectical behavioral therapy, eye movement desensitization, which is EMDR, rational emotive behavioral therapy, and metacognitive behavioral therapy. And also I have certification in mindfulness-based stress reduction. So with all of that combined, I'm a medical doctor, but my life experiences, the self-hate to self-love is going to be where mind hygiene really plays a big role. And it's just like diet and exercise. I always like to say in keynotes, consider me as like your personal trainer. It's something that I'm going to whatever I'm saying may not even work for you, but you could take one part of that, start, I'll set the spark off, and then you can practice these simple techniques, 30 seconds, an hour, where you accept your awareness, you communicate your compassion, and embrace your empathy, which I call ace your life with mind hygiene. So you accept your awareness. Look, 5.5 years ago, I sucked. Okay, just let me accept that. Let me not say I'm strong. I got this, buddy. Let me find coping strategies. And then let me judge myself because of resentment. So what happens there is that when I accept that awareness, it becomes a lot easier than trying to fix my emotions around that. And since I'm taking time to do this on purpose and with intention, and I'm aware, I'm mindful of the process, it's okay to be compassionate then. So that means I don't have to talk crap about myself. Like before, even when I was a legit doctor, meaning like I'm in 5 years into practice, I'm like, I'm stupid, I'm dumb, I'm useless, I'm judging myself. But since I'm taking time to like understand who I am, now I can communicate compassionately with myself. And if I'm not judging myself, then how can I judge somebody else? In that vein, And then embrace your empathy, which is E. So ace your mind hygiene. E is embrace your empathy. And when you can understand, I've had these adverse childhood experiences, domestic violence shelters, child protective services. So now I'm empathetic towards myself because I've had it hard and nobody's taught me. And I'll take that empathy one step further, like I do in workshops and with coaching clients. I take it further by understanding what it means to like forgive, and how empathy's forgiveness in motion, where if you're empathizing regularly, there's no need to make some time to forgive. And that could be because of create generational awareness. My dad saw both of his sisters die in front of him. So, that's just one part of it. That's just like one part of my dad and his abuse, so he didn't accept his awareness. He didn't communicate compassionately to himself. He didn't embrace himself with empathy. So he was not in the practice of mind hygiene like at all. So and once you do more and more of that, so I take 30 seconds in an hour to say, all right, this is what's going on. And in the morning, 6 years ago, let me accept my awareness. Look, I don't want to be a doctor. I think I'm stupid. And let me communicate my compassion. Well, I'm taking time to do this. Let me embrace empathy. And I wrote it all down. Well, now let me take the next action, which could be therapy, which could be like rapping songs. I have so many songs that whatever I'm telling you, I've learned through rap, because I'm constantly listening to this, what I call a recurring diary. So you're constantly listening to these things. I'm like, oh, I suck. Oh, I hate myself. Oh, do I need help? Oh, am I an addict? Oh, have I had it hard when I was young? Because in rap songs, you tend to be vulnerable and it's like normal, kind of like Eminem. Like it becomes like normal to like rap with vulnerability. So
wow. So you write these out, and then you go back and you rap them verbally out loud to yourself.
Not all the time, but there are times. Usually, what I'll do is, for example, like I said, whatever I do may not work, but I have various different types of writing tools. Like I have dry erase boards, and I have multiple. Like I'll have vertical ones, I have horizontal ones. There's a couple in the room right there. I have a king flip chart and a regular flip chart. I tend to write with orange and blue. I feel that's the most creative I am. And then also, I write like rap lyrics, and a lot of the times when I write like a story, or what I'll do is, this is something that I always advise people, is to dictate what you feel like in a car, take it back, and then you can cut it up and then rhyme words and make a song out of it. Or what you can do is you can cut it up and like just take whatever you recorded, like on a dictation when you're driving, And then you can see exactly what you're thinking. Or to take it a step further, I would say dictate whatever you're dictating in a car and then listen to it again. So then you know what's going on. Like, then okay, this is what I'm thinking. This is what my voice sounds like. And that comes from rapping, right? Because I've done it so many times. And that's what really got me to the place where I'm at. So
that's amazing. And so nobody taught you this. I mean, this is obviously because this is something you invented yourself. So did you take bits and pieces from your, cognitive behavioral therapy and other techniques and kind of just say, hey, I like this piece, I like this piece, I like this piece, and you took different parts from other treatments and modalities and you created Mind Hygiene by kind of incorporating some different things together?
Absolutely. Yeah. It was completely incidental. I never really, I just fell into the calling. It wasn't like something that I had thought of. I'm like, well, in the 3rd, 4th year of sobriety, I'm going to come up with this concept called Mind Hygiene, and it's going to transform my life because I've hygienically written down. One day I wrote down what I was doing every minute of the day and how I was speaking. Well, that's the real you and nobody's watching. And then I just decided to implement what I call investment. So people will say change or discipline or habits. I just forget all of that. I just say, let me invest in my future self. How am I going to invest in this? By just applying these simple techniques. And then people started asking me, how'd you do that? And then I started speaking. But you're right. Yeah. When it comes to cognitive behavioral therapy, I'm taking a behavior, like I'm talking bad about myself and I'm creating awareness around it. That's all cognitive behavioral therapy is. And a dialect is that like dialectical behavioral therapy. Oh, I hate myself, but then I can see the power in that later. So that's dialectical behavioral therapy. Eye movement desensitization, reprocessing is trauma therapy, where I'm like, oh, I hate myself. Oh, but my dad hated himself too. Now I can empathize. And metacognitive behavioral therapies. Oh, when I hate myself, I eat bad. And then what happens? I gain weight. So then that's metacognitive. Rational emotive is where I'm like, all right, well, let me take this thing, what I call self-hatred, and let me form some techniques and let me discipline myself. Well, instead of that, let's not have that negative connotation or that negative energy or a negativity bias, as we say in mindfulness. Let's not have that negativity bias and then change that narrative to create a new reality and say, I'm just going to invest in myself. And then obviously mindfulness is where you just do one thing at a time, which I call like the 1 tab approach. So I only have like I have 3 tabs open right now. That's it.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I know I'll get like 3 screens with 3 different browsers with 12 tabs each. Yeah. And how do you function like that?
I just don't know what's going on then. But when I just do one thing at a time, for those that have ever done marijuana, like I never inhaled. Okay. But when you are in the practice of mindfulness, it's your heightened awareness for hearing, sound, taste, just like you're smoking weed. So and when you just have that one screen and you look from top to bottom, there's this level of this dopamine hits that you can get where you can feel like you're just all in it. Because if you're shifting attentions at a regular point, that's when people get overwhelmed. But I don't get overwhelmed in a day where I'm seeing 20 patients because I'm enjoying as much as I can. I mean, I always like to say during egregious acts, if somebody's hitting me or something, I don't want to be mindful there. Maybe I do want to be mindful, but I want to get out of it. But
sure.
People get frustrated. And again, they were like, oh, the day's going to be hard. Well, you already set yourself up for a hard day,
Sure. Yeah, absolutely right. And with the Mind Hygiene, you created this just to help yourself. Like you were trying to better yourself. And so you came up with this Mind Hygiene approach, and then it worked so well for you. And now you're teaching it to others. But that wasn't your intention to begin with.
No, not at all. Yeah. And then I had to, you have to learn how to package it where people can understand it and not making it about yourself. So that took me a lot of time. I'm part of the coaching program. Is how I met you. So I'm just learning from coaches. I have like 10, 12 coaches where I just take all the game from them. And I recommend that for anybody that everybody needs a coach.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. The program Dhruva was talking about is it's a speaking program we're in. We're both further pursuing our, path towards being a professional speaker. And so that's how Dhruva and I met, kind of talking on similar topics or subjects. He's a physician, I'm a pharmacist, and we've just connected from there, and now he's here. So So if somebody's watching this and they really like the idea of the mind hygiene and want to learn more, is there a way that they can go and learn more? It's like, do you have a website on this, or can they contact you? Do you teach this stuff one-on-one?
Yeah, no, for sure. I tend to only take 3 coaching clients a month, and those are for people who are like really like dedicated and, have what I like to call, if you can graduate from a fixed to a growth to a beginner's mindset, that growth to beginner's mindset, I would like to challenge your mind, and if you can communicate without resentment and then share values, I would take on those types of clients. And, you can log on to dhruvaMD.com. That's DHRUVAMD.com. And you can go to the contact form, and, I would see if I can first provide value, and we would have like a 30-minute call to see if I can help you, so I may not be able to. Yeah. So
yeah, and everybody watching this, you can go to druvamd.com and you can read more about Dhruva and his mindfulness practice and mind hygiene, more information on there. You don't have like a one pager or a sheet or anything that you do?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, you do? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Go to druvamd.com, find out more information about Dhruva and what he does. And if you want to get in contact with him, it sounds like he's a approachable guy. So feel free to reach out. So Dhruva, I want to start wrapping things up. We're at about time here. I do want to say thank you again for coming on. I mean, this was definitely a great show. I'm glad we connected. I'm glad you were to come on here and teach us about mind hygiene. It's definitely got me interested in it. I'm always looking for ways to deal with my stress, my overwhelm, much better. So you're definitely somebody to look up to in that regard. Anything in closing before we say goodbye?
No, thanks a lot, Eric, for having me here. And, the way I look at it is like, whatever will work for somebody will work for them, but it's not about, there's something about in a year, you can master something in a year if you do it 18 minutes a day. It doesn't matter like what it is. I don't remember the exact statistic behind that. But if you can manage to find like 80 seconds every day and do the same thing, it doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter if it's what I'm saying. I'm not going to discredit Eric or, his proprietary process on how to heal the mind, but it doesn't matter who it is. But if you can you just have to be consistent every day.
Consistency.
That's every single day. Every single day you'll be good. Yeah. And whatever.
Yeah. So it's like when they talk about meditation, meditation is like really hard at first, but just like anything else, you need to practice it. So you said 80 seconds a day. So if you practice meditation for 80 seconds a day, a year from now, you're going to be an expert at meditation. You're going to get all the, maximum benefits that meditation can give you. Whereas at first, it's really, really not going to work out very well. But the more you do it, the better it works. And consistency is key. I think the same for me. I practice gratitude daily. I journal daily, and I say daily, that's my intent. I don't always do it, but it's being consistent is when it pays off. If I'm just stressed out and I want to go to a meditation just, every once in a while, it doesn't work real well, right? It's something you have to do on a regular basis. And then when you really need it and you do it, you practice, you're better at it, and then you get a better payoff from it. So consistency with all that is key.
For sure. Yeah.
All right, man, we can keep going here, but I'm going to let you go. Thanks again for coming on. And
thanks for having me, brother. Appreciate it.
We'll be talking soon.
Okay. All right. Take care.
Bye.
Okay.